Action. Hello guys and welcome to the podcast. Thanks so much for joining me today. Today I'm going to be talking about who I am, my background, my beliefs. Hope you enjoy the show. And hopefully this is the first of many. Come on, let's go. We got this. Come on, take 327. Welcome back to the Bennett podcast. Yes, we're back again. Thank you so much. I had really great reviews so far on the ones I've done so far. So hopefully they're only going to get better from here. So on to today's episode. So today I'm going to be talking about identity and what is identity and the power of identity. So I'm going to tell you a story, an anecdotal story about myself. Which was probably one of the most embarrassing parts of my life actually that ever happened to me, and I was really left speechless for probably the first time ever. So 2 years ago I graduated college and I then moved to Boston, as you guys may know, to start for a new job, right? When I moved to Boston, I left behind everything that I had kind of self-identified with. So I was no longer playing soccer. The only reason I came to America was to play soccer. For those who don't know, I thought I was alright. I came to America to play, and I probably had the long-term goal to becoming a professional soccer player. And ultimately that never happened. So in my head, subconsciously, I'm a failure. I didn't achieve the goal that I just set for the last 20 odd years. And I look back on the habits of my earlier life when I was maybe from the age of 12 to 17 especially. I didn't have the best habits. My diet probably wasn't the best. My fitness and nutrition wasn't as good as it should have been now looking back, and now that I'm more educated on those things. So when I moved to America, I thought that was my real chance. I was getting my degree paid for, and I thought I was going to become a professional soccer player. I was convinced of it. I might not have played for the best team, I might not have been around the best coaches, but I was convinced that if I saw the right coach, and then the right coach saw me and I played the right game, then I was convinced that's what my identity was, is that I'm a soccer player. When I went home at Christmas, people would know me as, that's that Dan who goes to America who plays football. My family would always ask me, first question, how's football going? And that's happened for my whole life, 25 years. Every Christmas I'm back home, my family say, how's the football going? Interesting thing happened is when I graduated, I no longer played football. I no longer played soccer. At 24, I stopped playing soccer. I stopped playing the thing that had been a motivating factor in my life for so long. And I was left with a bit of an identity crisis. And I don't think this is uncommon. And I think what had happened was I married my identity. I became so fixated on that identity of being a soccer player that I was fit, I was active as a soccer player. Yeah, I'm going to play. My family would ask me, where are you going to play after college? What's the opportunity? Where are you going to go and play next? And that was what I was kind of ingrained to believe about me and myself. Which at 24, when I moved to Boston and I was now working as a sales guy, I no longer was playing football. I was no longer playing soccer. I was in an office from 7 o'clock till probably 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And I had a real identity crisis on my hands. And this is probably the first time really of this forum that I've ever probably really admitted that. I know me and Sam have had these kind of conversations in the past, but for the longest time, I really struggled to deal with the fact that no longer in my life I was a sportsman. I wasn't doing anything like that. I was going to the gym, a normal person gym, I think it was a BSC, which is Boston's BSC? Yeah, Boston Sports Club. I went there, I was doing a bro split workout, I was doing my biceps on Monday, my back on a Tuesday, chest on a Wednesday, whatever it was. I was doing that. I was in the office for about 7:30. I'd then work there for about 10, 11 hours. I'd go home, I'd maybe read, I'd eat some dinner, and then I'd do that in a hamster wheel every day. And then moving to Boston, I didn't know anyone. I didn't actually have many friends. I had Zach and Brett, who were my bosses. They brought me up to Boston, who were great for me. They were great to learn off, and we had a great 2 years together working together. I had my roommate Mike and Andy, who I was working with Mike, and he pretty much became one of my best friends up here. He's a really great guy. But again, different people, we had very different beliefs about the world, very different mindsets, different things we wanted to achieve, different beliefs in terms of sport as well. Like I wanted to play sport, and he was the one who really got me into the gym and going to the gym as a form of exercise. So when I moved to Boston, I didn't know anyone. I had my friend Brittany, who she's been on another podcast with me in the past, and I probably maybe had a handful of friends, maybe 3 or 4 friends, call it, if that. And So what do you do when you move to a new city and you're young, you're single? What do? You go on your dating apps. I was on Tinder, I was on Bumble, I was on Hinge, and I was just swiping. And I kind of used it as a kind of, I don't know, as like a safety net. I don't know. I was just bored. I don't know. I'd get home from work and I'd just be like, right, well, I'd eat my dinner. I'd go through my emails again. I'd be like, right, that's done now. I'm like, the guys were probably watching something stupid like South Park in the living room. I'm like, I'm not about to watch that for 3 hours. So I would just go to my room, I'd read my book, I'd maybe go for a walk or whatever I'd do, and then I'd just be swiping. And to be honest with you, when I first moved up to Boston, when I didn't know anyone, I went on probably a lot of dates because I needed to meet people. I wanted to just meet young, like-minded people, and I was going on these dates with people. And there was one date in particular, I can't remember the girl's name. She was a really lovely girl, very, very pretty, and we were sitting at a sushi restaurant, and this was probably maybe March or April. So I had 3 or 4 months to acclimatise to the Boston lifestyle. And she said to me, she was like, oh, tell me about yourself, what do you do? And for the first time in my life, I didn't have an answer. I literally went speechless. I was like, and I didn't have anything. And it was really, really embarrassing. And honest to God, there's a scene in Friends where Ross tries to kiss his cousin and he's trying to like think of something to say. And he said, he's like, all right, say words, say something, say anything. And I remember this girl asked me that question, like, tell me about yourself, what do you do? And I went blank. I didn't have anything. I absolutely nothing. I was like, what do? I go to work in the mornings, I go to the gym, I get back, I eat again, and then I go to bed and I do that. And it was a really, really, really scary part of, it was probably the first time that had ever happened. It was just terrifying that I went, you loser, you don't have anything going on in your life. And it was so sad because my whole life I've been ingrained to talk about football, but I play football, going to play here this summer, I'm going to go abroad and play, or I'm going to, they brought me over here and play. And that was my thing, that was my identity. I was a soccer player, especially when I moved over to the US. It was maybe different back in the UK because, so many people play football back in the UK. But when I came to the US, I was playing at a decent level, and I think that was I just married the identity of being a soccer player. So now, 6 months removed from playing soccer, I was on this date with this girl, and I didn't have anything. I had nothing to say. I had absolutely nothing to say. It was so cringy. And I remember going, I don't know, I gotta work. And I remember her being like, wait, this kid's weird. He doesn't have anything he does. So that brings me on to today's topic, identity. And I have learned since then, I read a lot of books now, that you should never marry an identity because an identity can always change. An identity can always change. And I learned very, very quickly that if you marry an identity, that identity can be taken away from you, and then you're left with nothing. You're left with an identity crisis of not knowing who you are. And this is seen very much in older life when people retire from their, jobs. If you're a CEO for a business and you've been working there for 30 years and you're the hot shot and you retire at 55, and then before you know it, now you're a stay-at-home dad or you're a stay-at-home granddad and you don't actually have an identity. It's very, very common. So knowing what I know now, and I've learned what I know now, there's certain things that I believe you need to do differently. First of all, you should never marry an identity because, like I just said, it can be taken away from you. So what do you do instead then? So for me personally, I had to change my identity. I had to look at my life, look at all the things I was doing, look at all the things I was working on, looking at who I wanted to be. And I felt that the whole in my life, which was football, which was soccer, which was, competing at a high level, I needed to change my mindset and my identity to be, I'm no longer a soccer player. I'm no longer someone who plays sport and gets paid for it. No longer that. That's not the case anymore. However, you know what I can be instead? I can have my identity be, I'm a fit, active, healthy person who loves to compete. And you know what I got into then? Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And for those who don't know what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is, it's the kind of, if you ever watch a UFC fight when they're rolling around on the ground and they're trying to strangle each other, that's kind of what it is. It's the ground part of MMA. And I got into that because my boss's wife is a professional boxer. And she's incredible. And I went to train at her gym with her. And then a bunch of the guys there were doing BJJ. And they're like, hey, do you want to roll? And I loved it. And I fell in love with it. I fell in love with this thing that allowed me to compete. And it was very, very humbling getting choked out by a guy who probably weighs 100 pounds less than me. And to be fair, that really revolutionized. And to be honest with you, I think that really, really helped me in my early years because especially when I moved up here, because I didn't have anything else. All I had was this, I went to go to the gym, I'd go to work, and then I'd get strangled by people, which is really, really weird. But honest to God, it really, really helped me because it allowed me to compete. And it filled that hole that I'd kind of built in my life. So for those of you who might be in a similar situation to me, what can I suggest to you? if you've played on a team, or if you are, you've left a job, or if you've left an environment where you've built an identity for yourself, you need to stop, write down on paper, what are the things that you liked about your previous thing? If you're a CEO and you liked, my identity is being a CEO, my identity is, managing people and building teams and building a successful business. You can flip that on its head. You can very, very quickly flip it on its head and go, right, if I'm no longer a CEO, what can I do instead? I'm a person who likes to lead. I'm a person who likes to be involved in team activities. I'm a person who maybe likes to run businesses or analyze numbers, whatever your thing might be. And maybe when you are retired or when you've left that environment, to fill that void and not make sure you have an identity crisis like I did, and so you don't go speechless on a date, then maybe you need to flip your identity on the head and from now on live with the same principles that were combined with the idea of being a CEO. But now you change on your head, so you are like, I'm a person who leads teams. I'm a person who likes to be involved in team activities. So then you find clubs. You might run a club. You might join a local business group. I don't know what it is. Whatever those things are that you married to your last identity, you now need to kind of find new ways of bringing that identity to you. Because ultimately, no one's ever going to bring my soccer career back. I'm never going to play in the Premier League. I'm never going to play in the Champions League. And that's what I've come to live with. I was like, hey, I thought that I knew that years ago, but maybe I was saying to myself, hey, maybe I could get a USL level over here. Maybe I could go play MLS over here. And ultimately that didn't happen. And I'm happy about it. To be honest with you, I'm extremely happy of where my life's gone over the last 2 years. I think I've learned some invaluable lessons, made good money, met amazing people. And now I'm doing something that I'm really, really passionate about. So I think everything happens for a reason. But for those of you who might be going through an identity crisis, stop and smell the roses and then just go, how can I bring my identity back to me? For me, I'm never going to play football again, but you know what I can do? I can compete. I can compete on a daily basis. I can compete to be better, and I can compete to be healthier. I can compete to be a better, healthier version of me, and I can compete with my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which stepped in and replaced that empty void. And James Clear, who is an amazing author, I've read his book Atomic Habits. It's incredible. Highly recommend to anyone who is in the personal development field. I highly recommend you reading James Clear's Atomic Habits, because he was the one who really, the light bulb went off and I went, oh my God, that was me. I was the person married to my identity and that identity got taken away. So he's got some good points here that I've written down. So he believes that if you want to see a goal, then you need to change your identity. You can't be married to an old identity. And if you change your beliefs, then your outcome will change. So here's what he says. You need to build identity-based habits. If you change your judgment of yourself, this will lead to your desired result. So if you want to lose weight, your new identity can be, I'm a person who moves more and eats healthier foods. Super simple, right? Super simple. You want to lose weight. Don't just say, I'm going to lose 20 pounds or I'm going to lose weight, because it's not specific enough. How are you going to do that? You need to change your identity of the person to be the person who moves more and eats healthier. Those two things are going to align to give you the desired outcome, which is your new identity. And that was a bit of a tongue twister, but I eventually got it out. So, me, anecdotally, my old identity was I'm a soccer player, and that's what I do. I'm a soccer player. Well, then when that got taken away from me, I no longer have that anymore. So now mine is, right, I like to be healthy, I like to eat healthy foods, I like to work out, and I like to compete. If I can do all four of those things and bring all four of those things into my life now, then I will fill the void which was left behind. And I highly recommend to anyone who may be in a similar situation to try and, analyze your environment, analyze what you loved about your last identity, and then how can we reword your old identity to be new and to fit your new life? I'm telling you, it's transformed my world. It's helped get me out of a serious dark headspace in the past, because for the longest time, I didn't know what my identity was. I didn't know. I was a 24-year-old in the new city, just mindlessly going on dates to try and fill a void, and ultimately it didn't fill the void until I realized what my identity was, and I changed that. So, I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. I highly recommend you to stop and analyze your environment, look at your identity. How can you change your identity so you're not left with an identity crisis like I was? And guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hopefully more to come.